I have a bunch of questions from you guys pertaining to planting season and what we do during planting season. And I really enjoy this format and this type of content. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get to it. All these questions pertain to planting and planting season, and that's what we're doing right now. So I hope you find this content valuable so you are a little bit more educated when you are driving to work or driving home from work and you see planters out in the field or farmers doing jobs out there, so you kind of have a little bit more of an understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. All right, there's even some questions here at the end that my family would like answered, so stick around and I will get to those at the very end of the video. First question. How do I decide what crop to plant and in which order to plant them? That is a great question. The most common types of plants you're going to find are corn and soybeans, and these are two totally different types of plants, and they complement each other very well because soybeans actually take nitrogen from the air, they fixate it and release it into the soil, and corn is a real high user of soybeans. So it's a really good crop relationship. It's probably the most common rotation you're going to find just in general throughout. There are other rotations. In Wisconsin here, there's a lot of dairy, so you're going to find alfalfa, which does the basically the same thing as a soybean plant. And you're going to find a lot of corn on their operations also, just for feed reasons. So what's the main difference there between corn and soybeans? Well, corn is a grass or a monocot, meaning it has one cotyledon that comes out of the ground, and soybeans are a dicot, meaning it has two cotyledons that come out of the ground. And they're quite different in the way they grow. That's one of the main reasons everybody uses corn and soybean rotation. So for the best yield / profit, what decisions do we make versus what the seed or agronomist guy would say? And I guess that's a good question because it seems like it's a versus question. I don't know. I think we work together as a team, the seed guy and the agronomist that we work with, versus against each other. So I just happen to know our fields ever since I grew up here, so I know the fields very well compared to, you know, somebody that walks on our farm. But we work together. We look at our yield maps from previous years. We look at the soil type. We look at the variety that we're going to be planting and which one will work better in that type of ground. We can look at prescriptions, the disease pressure that was in that field in previous years. We also look at the equipment that we're using. Can we make an upgrade to the equipment or the way we're using our equipment and to apply some, let's say, nutrients or something like that, or planter upgrades? Can we do a better job in our spacing and our depth and so on and so forth? So I have some images here that we'll just quickly go over. This is an image of one of our fields yield maps, and you can see in this area here we have a really high yielding area, and over here we'll have a lower yielding area. And we look at that over the years, and we can overlay these yield maps, and we can make a good decision on prescriptions specifically and what varieties we're going to plant in those areas. So I have another image here of a specific prescription, and you can see this has already been planted, but you can see we planted a little bit more seed in this area, a little less seed in this area, and that was just due to the fertility of that ground. And the higher the fertility in corn, the more seeds I'm going to want to drop in that area, and the lower the fertility, or in our case, low fertility equals like lowland or a little bit wetter, something like that, I'm going to drop less seeds because the nutrients aren't there to support that high population. I think there's a lot of planning that goes into the next season. We use the data that we collect throughout the years to help make the best decisions we can. So the next question is, what do I need to change on the planter going from one crop to another? Corn is planted at a much lower population than soybeans, around 35,000 seeds per acre in this area, and soybeans are planted at about 100,000 seeds per acre. So in order to do that, you need two different plates in the meter, and this is what the meter is. I'll just pop this off quick. All right, here you can see the difference in the metering plates. This one right here on the left is for soybeans, and this one is for corn. You can see the amount of holes for the seed to be vacuumed to are a lot greater than the corn one right here. So that'll be the first thing that I change on the planter. The next thing that I'm going to change is the depth. And these are what we call the gauge wheels, and this is what sets our depth for the seed. So there's a handle back here. This handle right here will set the depth to anywhere between 0 and 4 inches on this planter. And I have it set to 1 inch for soybeans right now. So right now at this level, this is how high the gauge wheel will come up. It can't go up any farther because this is being stopped by this handle. If I move it to 4 inches, it can come up a lot higher like that. So the seed goes in the ground a lot deeper. Aside from that, on the planter, there isn't much else to do. We have to jump in the cab and change the population. So let's go do that. All right, so the next thing we need to do is change the population in my planter monitor. And I'm currently set up for soybeans. So we'll go in and we'll change our crop from soybeans to corn. All right, and it automatically changes our default population there to 32,000. I can set that to whatever I want. Okay, next, I just wanted to show you the difference between a corn seed and soybean seed. And on your right, you can see the red soybean seed, and on the left is a corn seed. So then the difference in population will be corn is spaced like that. The spacing for soybeans is more like all these guys in a row like that. So the next question is, how do I determine when the time is right to plant? That's a really good question. That varies year to year. This year specifically, that's a really good question because it is late April here. It's very cold. It's very wet. The ground temperature's cold. So it's not ideal planting conditions. So how am I going to determine this year? The calendar is probably going to play a little bit of a part. I think we're going to be about a week to 10 days behind right off the bat here. I'd like to see that soil temperature at least in the mid 50s, low 60s to even better to release some of those nutrients that are in the ground. When we do get going, we have some really good equipment to plant everything that we have pretty quickly and very precise. So at this point, I'm not too worried, but making that decision to go is a really tough one. I got soil temperature probes. We're looking at the soil kind of daily to see how much water's in there yet, and it just at this point isn't quite ready. So it's going to be a challenge, I think, this year, but hopefully we get it all done. Okay, so this is a great question. Why am I planting soybeans so early, and what do I want to learn from it? I'm just going to give you a little background here. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've planted soybeans as early as I possibly can, and by no means am I a pioneer in this. This is actually an idea I got from a guy down south of me planting very early, I think in December or February one year, and it kind of tripped my trigger. So I know the soybeans can handle the cold soil conditions, or maybe we're going a little too early, or maybe we're going a little too late. So I'm basically trying to learn what the right time is and for the best yield results. 20 years ago, our farm started planting soybeans, and the general rule was to plant them after corn, even into June when the soil temp was pretty warm and the population would be very high, upwards of 200,000. It was a good rotation crop for this area, like we had talked about earlier. Does Denny do any field work? Denny is my uncle. He has been involved in the farm forever. He grew up on the farm. Denny is a great asset, especially I can pretty much count on him all the time. Whenever I need somebody to do some field work, I can give him a call and he's out here in just a few minutes. So he's an awesome guy, good asset to have on the farm, and is probably one of the funniest Nicest guys you're ever gonna meet. Who is my favorite sister? I think my favorite sister is gonna be, I got two of them, so this is really I'm getting pulled in different directions here. I think my favorite sister is, did you get that? The camera's getting messed up, hold on. Did you get that one? Okay, next question. Who is my favorite cousin? So I have a lot of cousins. So my favorite cousin would have to be, oh, the camera, something's wrong with the camera, hold on. Yeah, okay, you guys got that one? Okay, next. Who is my favorite cousin's husband? Again, that's, there's a lot of people to choose from on that. So I think I'm gonna have to say, oh, camera. I'm having a lot of camera issues. Hopefully you guys got that. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope everybody found this information useful. It was kind of fun for us to make. I'm gonna throw in some video here at the end of our planter and some of our operation maybe. I'll see what I can dig up, but I do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Okay, so we can't forget about Brady and Emma. They also want to answer some of these questions, and we thought it would be a lot of fun. So enjoy.
Stretch, get ready for it.
I'm guessing corn.
Okay, what grain do we plant for most of at our farm? That would probably be corn.
16.
I'm gonna say 16.
TA410.
The tractor that we pull the planter with, well, back then when we didn't have a T8410, or before we didn't have a white, we used to have a John Deere, and I think we will pull that with a T8320, and still with a white when we have a T8320.
Soybeans.
What plant is the best in the cold? I would say soybeans. The earliest time that we planted was on Mom's birthday. March 31st, we planted soybeans with our 4-row planter on a T8320.
March 31st.